Thinking of playing Death Ride Kursk, Totenkopf. Okay, Red Army turn, operations phase. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and add reserve markers. I probably should have started off this way because that was the idea. So I put these companies behind here, behind the slope there, out of observation of the approaching Germans, because they were supposed to be, reserve forces. So I'm going to put them under reserve markers. And I had one more reserve, back here. So there's that. And I added this tank brigade here. Now I should point out that according to the scenario card that I'm using as a rough guide for this action, this is supposed to be a particular tank brigade by name, by designation, and I could not find it. So I'm not, I don't worry about that. I took another brigade that looked like it had comparable organization, and I'm going to use it in its place. Maybe I missed somewhere the explanation. I mean, either I missed the formation in the counter mix, that's entirely possible, or I missed the explanation for why it's not here. So I'm adding that tank brigade now. These don't look, these are still, here, let me show kind of a representative unit there. These don't look like very heavy tanks at all. Let me do a quick look. Yeah, so these are medium targets. That is supposed to be I never know what to call that. It's like an orange dot behind the defense value. Defense value, indicating that it's a medium target. So, okay. All right. Generally, what are we gonna do? Oh yeah, I know what. This is. Yeah. So apart from getting probably send some armor forward. Well, actually, I haven't made up my mind. Either this armor is going to come forward and try to get the Germans basically on this side of the stream here, or they'll wait back here and see how the fight here develops. But in any case, we have this water obstacle dividing our forward point from the rest of the defenses. So we'll see how that works here. The big thing, though, is that I have all that artillery back there. I basically have 3 battalions of artillery. So the big thing for this operations phase is for me to figure out, how do I get all this artillery into the fight? What's the whole deal with that, with Soviet artillery? So I'll be looking at that. So I think those are the big things. I'll decide whether these guys are going to move forward, and I'm going to figure out how best to start dropping some artillery on the German front line there. Okay, all about artillery. Now, what I'm going to be doing in order to ease back into the Death Ride series, I'm going to start off right back in with basically the basic level rules for artillery, and then once I just refresh myself on that, I'm going to be jumping up to the more advanced artillery rules. Okay, so artillery may fire by itself as long as it fires at an enemy unit. So what I'm looking at here is I'm going to have the anti-tank unit here at the front attack the German point there, but I'm going to go ahead and try having an entire battalion of artillery back here fire and support. So artillery may fire by itself as long as it fires at an enemy unit that is seen by a combat unit the artillery supports in the chain of command, which has a clear line of sight to the target. Now, I mean, this is going to be they're going to be combining, the artillery is not firing by itself. I wonder, I know what, I'm going to try having the artillery fire by itself first. Let's try that. in order to go through the rules for that. So I'm going to have the first battalion there of 3 batteries fire there. So the observer, I'm not sure the rules really use this, but the combat unit that has clear line of sight to the target is this one. So the artillery can fire here as long as this combat unit observing is in the chain of command. So this is how I'm determining that. This is how I'm determining quickly. Is this 100% correct? I'm not actually sure, but hey, the anti-tank unit is the 51st Guards Anti-Tank Regiment, and that's that formation right there. These artillery units are 122nd Guards Artillery Regiment, which is right there. So because they're both under the same division there, I'm saying they're in the same formation, and so artillery is firing in support of a unit in the same division observing a target. That's how I'm doing that. So artillery units must be in command to fire at full strength in support of friendly organization fire and assault combats. They're right there next to the division headquarters. That's the division headquarters right there. So they must be in command, right? So they're going to fire at full strength. So in fire attacks, the artillery strength is calculated using the defensive target type being fired at. All right, so target type, we have medium, 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 and all right, so they're all medium. They're all the half tracks. They're medium target type in defense. Okay, let me see if I can try to go over the highlights here. Okay, so let's talk about the target first. So, well, actually, let's talk about target identification. So what I did is I had the 1st battalion fire, and then actually I had the 2nd battalion fire. So we're talking about 2 battalion fire attacks here. Now, let's talk about the target here. Now, these are 1/3 of a kilometer hexes. We have 3 separate platoons in here. One of them is already suppressed to level 1. These 2 are good. But the 3rd platoon there is suppressed to level 1. So the first thing is, because of the scale, I'm assuming, and yeah, I'm not assuming, but I haven't seen anything to say that this is not the case. So I guess that the fire, the Soviet player, identifies the target. And so the Soviets are going to go after the unit that's already suppressed to level 1. So I'm assuming, I'm going with the fact that you can choose your target, that it's not a fire against the hex. So the target as well. The unit has a defense value. The unit has a defense strength, the defense value of 6. That's the 6 up in the top right there. But it's suppressed to level 1, which means you add 1, so it's actually 7. So the defense value is 7. They're in clear terrain. Okay, so now let's talk about the weapons firing. Obviously, at this range, they're only using their primary weapon factors. What we have is we have 2 of these units. The battalions are identical, so we have 2 of these guys, which are a what's important here is that they are a 4. So no, I did my math wrong already. All right, that's a 4 at a range of 32, so it's easily within range. But what's important is that it's a 4 dash. So yeah, I did my math wrong, so let me do a quick recalculation. Okay, interestingly enough, it didn't change the outcome. So you have 2 of those artillery dashes. So using the firepower table against a medium target, primary long range artillery, less than 100 millimeter, or that doesn't matter. What matters is the minus. That's the minus I was referring to. Go across here, they're halved. they're halved. So their 4 is halved at 2. You have 2 of those for 4 firing at the target. Now, again, the battalions are identical, so you have a third company like that. So significantly stronger at a strength of 7, and they're a 7 plus. A 7 plus. So they're 7, and then artillery, again, doesn't matter, greater than or equal to 100 millimeter. What matters is the plus. They are artillery plus, so they are full strength. Medium target, primary, long range, full strength. So so it's a 7. 7 plus 4 is 11 divided by 7. Yeah. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Public math here, right? So that's 1.5 column. Okay. So the first battalion fired and they rolled miserable. I think they rolled a 1. So that's absolutely nothing. So they only get to fire once in the turn, so I put fire complete markers on them like that. Now the next battalion fired, exact same attack, same target, everything. They rolled a 10. Oh, the modifiers are, this is what I'm computing. I'm computing +2 for elite. Those are guards, artillerymen. So I don't see why they don't get the +2 for fire as elite. I'm also I'm looking at the elevation there, and I'm coming around, and this goes across here, but they're up 1. So when I look at the elevations, right, I'm calculating that the second battalion's firing back here, and they're firing at the target, and when we go from this elevation to this elevation, it's up 1 level. And I know maybe in a smaller level tactical game this wouldn't apply, but I don't see any reason why these fire combat DRMs are not applied equally for all this different type of combat. It makes me wonder, I mean, do you still get enfilade fire if you have a direct fire weapon with an indirect fire weapon? I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'll look into those details, but right now it looks like +2 for elite, -1 for up 1 level is a net +1. So rolled a very good 10. That's 11 on 1.5. That is an S2. It's an S2. So it's important for the mechanics. Here's our target here. So here's our target, right? Oops. There's our target. Already has an S1. We add a red S2. And the fact that you have a red with a green means you need to keep them separate, which means you need to put both of them on there. They will only be consolidated when they both, well, they're only consolidated when they're the same color, basically. So now the unit has a green 1 and a red 2. So that appears to be, and then these guys are fire complete. This appears to be an indirect fire or artillery attack against a target, artillery firing alone at a unit being spotted, being observed by a unit in the same chain of command.